day, everybody. This is Sanjeev Mehra from the Institute of Marine Engineers. And today we have with us Mr. Dilip Mehrotra and Mr. Prabhakar Srivastava. Prabhakar sir, over to you.
Namaste and a very good afternoon to the marine fraternity. Today I have the privilege of interviewing none other than a very close and dear and distinguished friend of mine, Shri Dilip Mehrotra. To say just a few words about him would be gross injustice. He has worn many a hat. After a distinguished sailing career like we've all had, he sailed for 12 years, after which he joined the Director General of Shipping and was the Deputy Chief Surveyor till 2012. He even held the post of Principal Officer Mercantile Marine. In the year 2000, he obtained his master's degree in the Maritime Safety and Environment Protection from the World Maritime University, Malmö, Sweden. He had been serving in the Directorate General of Shipping as Deputy Chief Surveyor till 2012 and also held the post of Principal Officer Mercantile Marine Department. Shri Mehrotra joined the Secretariat of Indian Memorandum of Understanding on Port State Control and served till 2020. During his tenure with the Directorate, Shri Mehrotra led various Indian delegations for STCW at the International Maritime Organization, London, notably during the time when the STCW convention was undergoing revision. He also led the Indian delegation to IMO for Marine Environment Protection and was also a part of the Indian delegation for attending United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. He was the past president of the Institute of Marine Engineers. So what I will start with, Dilip, is the problems that the Indian marine fraternity is facing when it comes to the image and the quality of ships, making shipping a safe sector in the eyes of the public. With your positions in the government, how do you feel and what do you feel should be the way forward?
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Sanjeev and Prabhakar, to have this on a Sunday noon. With regard to the safety, as you see, last 2 weeks, we have been seeing a lot of, hearing about a lot of accidents. A bulk carrier, a tanker, and then the latest one being the cattle carrier. So with regard to the safety, when I was in the Indian Ocean MOU, what we did was to increase the port state control activities. We came out with a new inspection regime, just like what Tokyo and the Paris MOU had. In this new inspection regime, which was started with the approval of all the member authorities, in 2018 we started this. Then the performance of the company, the performance of the other, all that is taken. And then the ships are only targeted which are substandard ships. As you all are aware that most of the maritime administrations are having resource crunch. They cannot devote so much of their resources to the port state control inspections, because that is the only regime in the world which has been seen that effectively targeting the substandard ship. That's the only way you can increase the safety on the ships. During our time, as you are aware, when you also sailed, there was no inspections, there was no third-party inspections, there was no port state control, and whatever we used to do was with our own company's help and the seafarers who used to be on board for our own safety. But nowadays, the reason we are still unable to find out what is the cause, in spite of having so many inspections, so many wedding inspections with the ISM in place, is still there you find in a year when 80 to 90,000 ships are being inspected under port state control. There are thousands and thousands of ships which are detained, and they are substandard. They are substandard. So after having this new inspection regime in the Indian Ocean MOU, the standard of the ships visiting our area, our Indian Ocean, has significantly improved.
So, how do you feel we should change the perception in the eyes of the public? We are only shipping as an industry comes into news when you hear about disasters, and never the good thing or the importance of shipping for the world economy itself. So, how do you feel that we should be able to change this very perception of the industry? Do you have any inputs on that?
This COVID crisis, which we came to know 9 months back, and is still evolving. Almost 26 millions around the world has been affected, and we don't see any end to it right now. So this COVID has brought a lot of change. Shipping has been in the news, and that's the only industry which, if you really see, which has been not, the wheels are moving. The railways stopped, the airlines stopped, everything, the industries stopped wherever there was a total lockdown, especially. But the shipping continued. Yes, there were some hiccups. There were some hiccups in the sign on, sign off, and the port authorities not allowing ships. But all was solved because everybody was taken by a surprise by this COVID. I remember by 15th or 20th March, we were all safe in India. We never thought that there will be a total lockout. So everybody was taken by a surprise. But I think now with this COVID, the things now people have realized that shipping is, earlier we used to say that 90% of the cargo is being moved by the shipping, but people are not aware what seafarers are doing. But I am sure now people are aware of the seafarer. But unfortunately, what happens whenever there is one accident takes place, whenever there is one accident, especially in an oil tanker, like is recently what has happened in Mauritius, the whole world is against the shipping, we are only for the disasters. But if you really see in the airline, when the accident takes place, you see on the news for a few days, but you don't hear anything about it. But in the shipping, because of the oil pollution, which maximum causes a bad name for the shipping. So the only thing is the seafarers, the training is at the top right now. You have so many courses, but still the accidents are taking place, whether it is because of the human or whether it is because of the machinery. That aspect has to be seen.
That's great. Now, as we've already discussed and brought about the point of the challenges that COVID has posed the shipping industry, especially in terms of crew change, where the Director General of Shipping has played a very, very important role. The kind of issues of crew stuck on the ship for practically a year, the mental challenges, and the other challenges that the families are facing. I was part of it recently, where a friend's son was on the ship for over a year, and I know how the mother was practically having an emotional
breakdown.
Yeah. So I would like to hear from you during your stint at the DG Shipping. Did you face any crisis which was as detrimental? I will not say as detrimental, but was really detrimental, and you all found a solution to it? You, especially in your career.
Well, Prabhakar, during my career of 2 decades with the Director General of Shipping, this is COVID is something unprecedented. We never faced such challenges. There were casualties, there were challenges, there were time-bound jobs to be done, but never to this magnitude. We never faced to this magnitude. Because now, especially the seafarers are the worst getting hit. But with the DG Shipping has been working very tirelessly, and I would like to thank them and for the work what the DG and the officials have been doing day in, day out for the welfare of the seafarers. It's mind-boggling.
But if you can share any incident where you had to take a drastic action, something in the 20 years that you spent CAT DG.
I never had such an equation, but yes, there were challenges like when we offered ourselves for the WIMSA's audit, it was a big challenge for us. And we did quite well, as expected, we did quite well in the WIMSA's audit. That was quite a big challenge for I being the focal point for this WIMSA's audit in India. That was, and then the second one was implementation of the STCW 2010 Manila amendments. It is again a time bound. If we don't do it, if we don't come out with our rules in time, if we don't implement it, our seafarers would have been out of the market. So that was another challenge. But as I said earlier, never to this magnitude. What?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes.
Coming to your, I would say, time with the institute, you are still connected with the institute.
Yes.
But as the past president, I would like to hear your views. Let's say the last 4 years, how have we been? There has been a talk of getting paid office bearers instead of honorary members. That would get probably a sense of professionalism. But it would be undoing what the institute has done for the last 3 decades plus and brought it to where it is today. But times they are changing. One has to adopt and one has to come up with newer ideas. So what is your view on the same?
Yes, Prabhakar, I was very fortunate to have been the president for one term, from 2015 to 2017, and I had a very good innings. I had a very good innings, and I had a good GC members. One of my dream was to have a full simulator installed in the institute, because was the topmost. But unfortunately, we could not do it during my term because we didn't have a building, a floor to have it, because you needed more space. And again, I was very lucky to have got the project again restarted for the 3rd floor. And during my tenure, we completed the 3rd floor. And then in the next term, we managed to get a full simulator. That was one of the big achievement we had. And then during my tenure, we had the e-voting. I would request the present GC and the office bearers, because of the COVID, now whenever the elections are due next year, they should have mandatory e-voting, because that will lessen the burden on the staff also to have a ballot papers collected and avoid COVID problems there. So coming to your question that whether we should go for a paid, whether we should change the present status, what we have is honorary president, office bearers and the GC members. Well,
Opinion.
yes, so just my opinion on that, one of the proverbs says, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but building on the new. So that doesn't mean that you leave whatever you have gained the knowledge from the last 30 years, but you have to move forward. And what I see, we did try paid a CEO, or you call him a GM, 2 to 3 times. But somehow we were not able to achieve the real target what we wanted. So it's not a bad idea, because the time has changed. Again, the time is changing. The present generation is not able to devote as much time which our old colleagues had done it for the institute. So again, but they have to look into because for the paid office bearers, you need to have resources. You have to need resources. So first thing, you have to find out the resource from where you're going to get the resources for this pay. And like we can follow the model of in Marisot, London, UK. So they are doing very well. During the COVID, they have been organizing so many seminars, so many lectures online, because now I believe in 4 A's now. If you really see, I believe in 4 A's with the technology now going at such a fast speed, and these 4 A's are anytime, anywhere, anyone, any device. You are connected. So I would like the institute. Yes, please.
Yeah, I say, how do I sum it up and say that this is how Dilip feels today? I mean, something specific, if you can, I mean, just your opinion that we could discuss further, the committee could discuss further.
For this, we as I said, I mean, on this issue of having a paid HGS or paid, office bearers, we should seriously think about it. Because if you really see, I mean, the branches are doing very well, but there are still few branches where it is becoming very difficult for the youngsters to come in. Youngsters, we have to motivate the youngsters. We have to somehow motivate the youngsters, and for that we need a dedicated team to be there 24/7 in the headquarters.
Okay, I have two more, I would say, personal questions that I may ask, and I'm sure you'll have an answer. COVID has very adversely affected you. I mean, you have locked yourself in the house for the last 4 months for obvious safety reasons. You'll be always a part of it. How do you see yourself, I mean, in terms of time, coming out and getting again involved in the institute?
I mean, I don't see any reason what will stop us from moving ahead. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. We will, I'm sure by the sooner the better we come out from this fear and a phobia of COVID. As you keep hearing that none of us may be spared. We are just trying to take precautions as extra precautions. But the best is to get out of the fear and do your daily routines and take all the precautions what is advised by the government.
Okay, before we end, the last two very, very important questions. Can you tell us one of the most cherished moments of your life in shipping in the last 40 years?
On a ship?
Whichever, I mean, we are talking about your association with the shipping.
Well, my most cherished moment was when I was joined the DG Shipping. That because one of the reasons why I joined the DG Shipping was that I wanted to make a career where I can give something to the shipping fraternity, and I'm sure that I did my best during my 2 decades with the DG Shipping. Other cherished moment was when I was in the Indian Ocean MOU. When I took over as a secretary, that was again because you are interacting with 20 member authorities, and you are one of the 9 secretaries all over connected with the shipping. So those were the very cherished moments I had.
Last but not the least, sir, a small history, a few words on your ubiquitous mustache.
Well, mustaches, I maybe have been too lazy to have it trimmed it while I was sailing on the sea. And fortunately, you won't believe when my better half Kirti parents came to have a chat with me before they said, okay, go ahead with my daughter. In the night, they went and saw a movie where there was a dialogue. There was a dialogue on the mustaches. Mujhe ho to nattu Ram jaisi. So that's how I think I got married to Kirti, because of my mustaches.
Dilip, it is absolutely wonderful to have you, to have a friend, such a distinguished friend for an interview. I think 15 minutes does not do justice, but thanks a lot, Sanjeev. Thanks a lot, Dilip, for throwing so much of light on your experiences and the way forward as we look forward to a great Institute of Marine Engineers and the fraternity.
Thank you, Prabhakar. Thank you, Sanjeev, for your time.
Thank you, sir, very much. Appreciate both of you giving time on a Sunday. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Take care, stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Bye.